Now, recall that in the last video, we said that an absolute value equation typically has two solutions. And by typically, we mean usually in the kinds of absolute value equations we actually encounter. But there are two kinds of absolute value equations that have fewer than two solutions. Suppose I give you the equation, the absolute value of 3x minus 6 is 0. I might think, well, of course, the absolute value of 0 is 0. That's it, isn't it? Looking again at the graph of the absolute value function, right, 0 is the point of its v down here. Right, so there's just one point on this graph with y-coordinate 0. So the solution to this equation, there's just one. It's where 3x minus 6 is 0. Adding 6 to both sides, 3x is 6. Dividing both sides by 3, this is where x is 2. That's the only solution to this equation. If we have an equation of the form absolute value of some expression equals 0, our equation has only one solution. What if I gave you an equation like this? The absolute value of 4x plus 5 equals negative 7. Well, again, we think about what we know about absolute values. And what we think is, absolute values can't be negative. There is no number whose absolute value is negative 7. This equation has no solution. If I give you an equation that looks like this, without doing any work, you can immediately see that it has no solution. Equations of the form absolute value of some expression equals a negative number, they have no solution. Why? Because nothing has a negative absolute value. Looking one more time at our graph of the absolute value function, we see that its range consists only of positive numbers and 0. Negative numbers are not in this function's range. Therefore, if we have an equation that says an absolute value equals a negative number, it has no solution. Right? So just to practice this idea. So what did we mean by typically then? Absolute value equations of the form the absolute value of some expression equals a positive number will have two solutions. Right? Now, why do I say that's typical? Because in most applications, when we write down an absolute value equation, we will write down an equation of this kind. All right, just to practice this notion, I'd like you to take a list of equations. Take a look at these 6 equations and tell me which ones have two solutions, which ones have one solution, and which ones have no solution. Pause the video and try this now. All right, which ones have two solutions? The ones with two solutions are the ones with absolute value equals a positive number. So this one has two solutions. This one has two solutions. And this one has two solutions. Which ones have one solution? Those are the ones of the form an absolute value equals 0. Where do we see that? We only see that here. And which ones have no solution? Those are the ones of the form an absolute value equals a negative number. We see that here and here.